Welcome everybody to a top 25 films that I feel like deserve a physical release. Now, some of these films may well have had a physical release in the past, but as far as UK releases go, most of these have only had a Blu-ray release in more than 10 years or so. But a lot of them haven't had a release at all, as far as I'm aware. Now, granted, this is again based on UK releases and such. Not for one moment going to suggest that maybe these have never been released anywhere. But as far as UK readily available releases go, these aren't available to me anywhere in any kind of form as such as Blu-ray or 4K. They might well have a DVD release at some point or other, but as far as readily available Blu-ray or 4K releases go, yeah, no such thing. So, yeah, first suggestion is going to be Muriel's Wedding. Now, again, I'd have to say that this is not in any order. These are just films that have come to mind that I've really enjoyed and would like to see get a proper release. So yeah, Muriel's Wedding, one of my favourite Australian films, especially from the 90s, ranks up there with the likes of The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, as far as I'm concerned, which also starred Bill Hunter and alongside Toni Collette there. So yeah, really fantastic film, really funny, and yeah, really well done cast, and just yeah, one that deserves a proper physical release. It is available on Amazon Prime in the UK, but I always prefer something physically, because then you know for sure that it's at least not going to vanish off a streaming service and therefore not being able to play again. And then next up, we have Who'll Stop the Rain. So this is starring Nick Nolte and Tuesday Weld, Michael Moriarty, Anthony Zerbe. So a really good cast, and it is overall an excellent film. Don't believe I've seen anything else from the director. Oh yeah, he also did The Gambler, which is also getting a 4K release at some point with Vinegar Syndrome. So hopefully, if that is a success, then maybe the Vinegar Syndrome will look at the rest of his back catalogue, and maybe this will also get a physical release. But as far as I know, it hasn't had one. As we'll show you one here on Amazon with a disc. As you can see, it's only available on DVD. So yeah, definitely deserves a proper Blu-ray release, and or at least or even a 4K one. Being Vinegar, if it does come from Vinegar Syndrome, it will also have a really rather nice limited edition one as well. Not too fussed if any of these don't get the limited edition treatment, you know, hardbox, poster, art cards and such, but just to get physically released in a more widely available format would be just great, quite frankly. Next up, we have Gloria from 1980 from John Cassavetes, and starring Gina Rowlands, and yeah, she's fantastic in the role. I've not seen much from the director before, although I do know that he's been highly influential and done many a great film. But Gloria is the first one that I came across from him, and yeah, really enjoyed it when I saw it, and again, just would like it to be a physical release. As you can see again, though, it is available on streaming services, but yeah, it's just not readily available on disc, which is a shame, because it is a fantastic film, and Gina Rowlands definitely puts in an excellent performance, and it's one that I do highly recommend. Next, we have Pressure Point with Sidney Poitier, Bobby Darin, Peter Falk. Again, excellent cast. Deals with really well thought out themes as well of racism and bigotry and such. And unfortunately, it's still as relevant today as it was, 64 years ago. So yeah, highly recommend it, especially if you are into Sidney Poitier films. Predates the likes of In the Heat of the Night, which also dealt with bigotry and racism, which came out several years later. Although he was also in another film called The Defiant One, I think it was called. Yeah, The Defiant Ones, which again also dealt with bigotry and racism as well. So yeah, and that starred Tony Curtis. So yeah, I'd like this to get an also release so we can put it alongside those two other films that I've mentioned from Sidney Poitier, given they all three deal with similar themes. And yeah, really great film. It's alright. Then we have Day of the Dead. So I do believe this had an hour video release several years ago, but it's hard to find now, and it probably isn't going to look as great as a more modern release could do. But yeah, it's still a fantastic film, and given Night of the Living Dead and obviously Dawn of the Dead have had 4K releases now, hopefully this does also get that treatment. It's quite frankly well overdue getting that kind of treatment, as it is a fantastic film. It's personally my favourite of the Dead trilogy, before obviously Land of the Dead came out. But then again, even so, it's still the best regardless of the subsequent films that came out after this. So yeah, fantastic film. Unfortunately, we have obviously missed out on its 40th anniversary for a proper limited edition release, but I still feel like it is well worth getting that physical release. And again, it is available on streaming, disc wise. Yeah, as you can see, only DVD, VHS if you're really going to stretch out for it. But as you can see, Blu-ray wise, only available on some Spanish release by the looks of it. So yeah, not a film that is widely available, but it definitely needs to be. And yeah, hopefully if it does come available, we can get some of that excellent score there as well. And then next up, we have The War of the Roses. So this did technically have a remake or a revised version of it that came out last year with Benedict Cumberbatch. But yeah, this is still an excellent comedy drama, quite frankly. And yeah, Danny DeVito directing, Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito also starring. It's just an absolutely superb film, and easily one of my favourites. Now, as you can see, it does say here HMVDB Blu-ray, but you can click into it. Well, it'll verify I'm human for starters. As you can see, it is available, but only from 2013. So we are well overdue getting this having a proper release, quite frankly, and giving us a proper limited edition version. So it is available to buy, no doubt about that. But being a 12, 13-year-old Blu-ray, there is definitely room for improvement to give this the full-fledged ultimate version that it can get. And then one that I am highly surprised hasn't had a release yet, Once Upon a Time in America. So yeah, easily one of the best films that Sergio Leone did. Easily one of the best films of its type out there. And yeah, you can arguably say that this set Robert De Niro on his path with, the two films that he did in the 90s with Martin Scorsese in the form of Casino and Goodfellas, because both of those do feel like a subsequent follow-up to something like this, in that it's epic in length, it's a gangster-driven crime film, and yeah, has a all-star cast, and you even have the likes of Joe Pesci starring in it as well, who would obviously go on to star with De Niro in those two films. So yeah, it's an excellent film, and yeah, one that I, again, really surprised hasn't had a release. It says on Blu-ray on HMV, but as you can see, page not found, so it's clearly not even available on Blu-ray anymore, even if it was at some point. So yeah, massive shame that it isn't physically released. It is one of my favourites, you can see, by 5 stars, and average rating of 4.2 on Letterboxd as well, does kind of emphasise how excellent it is. I did get the real great opportunity to actually see it at the cinema, I think, last year, so yeah, that was a real treat, but I'd still like to actually own it. Then we have one from Anthony Mann, one of his best films, and one of my favourite westerns from the kind of classic period in the 50s. And it is Man of the West, with Gary Cooper, Julie London, and Lee J. Cobb. And yeah, just an absolute superb film, one of my absolute favourites that I saw for the first time in 2025. And yeah, a western that definitely does deserve to be seen. And as you can see again, only available on DVD and Blu-ray. Yeah, only a German version on the go there. So yeah, definitely do need a more readily available version in the UK. This is something that I'd imagine Eureka doing. They have done some great westerns in the past, like High Noon on 4K, Johnny Guitar a while back. So yeah, I'd love to see this get a release. Then I Love You, Philip Morris. So yeah, definitely one of the better later period Jim Carrey films before he'd obviously go on to starring likes of Sonic the Hedgehog and such. And yeah, definitely one of my favourites from him in general, to be honest. It's certainly better than something like Bruce Almighty or, Ace Ventura films and such. It's not outrageously funny like some of his films from the 90s, but it is just a really, really endearing comedy drama that also has this really good supporting cast with like Ewan McGregor and Leslie Mann. And yeah, absolute superb soundtrack on that one as well. And yeah, one that I feel like is highly underrated. Disc-wise, what's it saying on Amazon? Yeah, you can get it on Blu-ray there, but as you can see, it's only in German, and yeah, it doesn't even seem to be available really at all, really. So yeah, a bit of a shame there. And then All That Jazz. So one of the few musicals that I've been really rather impressed by as of the last few years. Did initially just go into it because Roy Schneider's in it, as I am a massive fan of him, especially with his 70s work, Jaws, French Connection, 7-Ups and such, but still, it's a really, really excellent film, and again, one that I'm really, really surprised has not had a release. Looks like it's only going to be DVD that is out there right now, so yeah, do highly recommend seeing it if you haven't already, but if you can actually get out there and see it. I can't remember how I came across this. It might well have been on a streaming service at some point, but like as per usual, they do normally get knocked off after a while, so yeah, it is well worth seeing, and it is one that I am really rather quite surprised hasn't actually been released yet so far. So yeah, absolutely excellent film. Then we have Leave Her to Heaven from 1945, starring Gene Tierney, Cornel Wilde, Jean Crane, and the main reason I want this is for Vincent Price. Not the leading actor in this by any means, but to get another one of his films on physical release would be excellent, quite frankly. So yeah, really want this one, primarily for that. But again, disc-wise, yeah, only DVD and Blu-ray again in a Spanish-English version by the looks of it. So yeah, definitely one that needs to be released, and it is overall a really excellent film. I'm not sure if I've seen anything else from John M. Stahl before. What's he done before? Come on, if it'll load. Slowest internet in the world. Oh, I've only seen one other one from him, and that was When Tomorrow Comes, which is a decent film that actually got released by Indicator, I believe. So yeah, hopefully if Indicator, had enough success with that one, maybe they can eventually get his most popular film on Letterboxd, Leave It to Heaven, out, because it is well worth deserving. Another one that is deserving is a Roger Corman one, one of his more unusual efforts, because it's not horror, it's not exploitation, it's actually a very thematically weighty film. That's, again, just like with Pressure Point, is still somewhat relevant, and yeah, got one of the best performances from William Shatner in it, and yeah, just really effective film. Only 84 minutes as well. Definitely a low budget effort as per usual from Roger Corman, but he always makes the best of his budgets, and he does that with this in fine style. So yeah, it's one that I really wish would be physically released. And again, look, only DVD. It's got a Blu-ray there, but I don't think I've heard of that company ever before. Can't even zoom in really. I think it might well be a... Yeah, it doesn't look like it's had a proper physical release. Yeah, it's got French subtitles, country of origin France, so yeah, might not even be a English language version there. So yeah, it says there on the front, Dan un film de Roger Corman. So it's only seemingly had a release in France, which is a bit of a shame. And then James and the Giant Peach, another musical, one that is on all-time favourite though. It's one of those few musicals that I do really enjoy, primarily because it's got a great voice cast, but it's also got a fantastic stop-motion animation visual style to it. And yeah, it's just really excellent, and one that is a childhood favourite as well. Admittedly, it is one that I saw as a child a great deal, even though one part of it was quite scary. As a child, that is, but still, fantastic film. But again, just not available in any kind of form really outside of DVD. And there is a Blu-ray, but I guarantee, yeah, it's an old Blu-ray by the looks of it. Yeah, it looks like 2010. So that's again more than a decade and a half ago. So yeah, definitely well deserved. And it's from Henry Selick as well, who's done popular films. He did Coraline, Nightmare Before Christmas. So it's not like it's an unknown director or an unknown film. It just seems to have slipped under the radar. Much like Harold and Maude, which is a film that I would have expected something like Criterion Collection to have released. It seems like something right up their alley. But as far as I'm aware, it hasn't had a physical release like that. Yeah, German release, DVD. There's another Blu-ray here. What's this? Yeah, again, German. So, yeah, it's an odd film, no doubt about that. An older woman and a younger man bonding over their love of death and destruction and such. But it's just really well done, and yeah, really enjoyable. And Ruth Gordon and Bud Cort are also both excellent. So yeah, again, highly recommend that one. Then The Steel Helmet. So Eureka a while back released a box set of Samuel Fuller's films. There was about, I think it was 5 of them. Really great box set. It's easily one of my highlights of my collection, but this was not included, and that is a great shame. And yeah, it's quite frankly one that I do think should be included, because it is one of Samuel Fuller's earliest films. It might well have been his first, given it is 1951. Let's just check. Third film, I so yeah, that looks like a short film. So I Shot Jesse James, then The Baron of Arizona, which is another one I would like to see, but given The Steel Helmet is the better of the two, that's the one I've opted for. But I would like The Baron of Arizona purely because, again, it has Vincent Price in it. But yeah, The Steel Helmet is definitely the best of those first three or four. Yeah, it's not up until House of Bamboo that I would give an equal rating. And yeah, Hell and High Water, Pick Up on South Street, Fixed Bayonets, they got part of that box set that I was talking about. Not sure Part Row did, but yeah, there is definitely a lot of his films that still haven't had a physical release, and Steel Helmet is one of those ones that hasn't either, and it's also one of his best. So, yeah, it's a great deal of a shame, and yeah, really does deserve to get released. And then we've got a Jean-Pierre Melville film that hasn't had a release, Le Demi Soufflé. So, yeah, Lino Ventura is excellent. In fact, one of his films is actually getting released by Radiance Films at some point, either this month or next month, and it is The Illustrious Corpses. So, hopefully, this is a film that maybe Radiance Films or some other company will release. There was a Jean-Pierre Melville box set that came out a while back that I have that has several of his films, but again, this is not included. But since, Melville is hardly an unknown director, and Lino Ventura has, many films released from him via other boutique labels, it is hopefully going to be one that gets that treatment at some point. So, yeah, and only on disc, it's, only on DVD. Looks like it was a Criterion Collection release on DVD, but why they haven't yet released it on Blu-ray even still, I don't know. And then one of my favourite Enzo G. Castellari films is the Inglourious Bastards. So no relation to the Quentin Tarantino films from 2009, but still excellent film. One of my favourite a group of men go on a mission kind of films, like Dirty Dozen and such like that. And yeah, absolutely superb action. Bo Svensson, Fred Williamson are all really rather good. And yeah, it's just an excellent film overall, really. It's the one that I highly recommend and easily one of my favourites of its type. But as you can see, DVD and then a £117 Blu-ray, which, yeah, I wouldn't recommend getting because it doesn't look like it's all that new either. So, yeah. But overall, a really excellent film, and yeah, it's a great deal of a shame that we do not have that on Blu-ray yet, or 4K. And then we have the return of Godzilla. So this is a part of a general overview in terms of the later period of Godzilla films from the 80s to the early 2000s, which for the large part have not had a proper physical release. Obviously, we did have Godzilla vs. Biollante from Criterion on 4K. Still don't know why they skipped over this one first, though, because this is obviously the first film in the new series after the films in the 70s came to an end. So, yeah, it's a great deal of a shame that they skipped over this one and went to the subsequent film, because especially since I prefer this one over Biollante, to be honest. So, yeah, but it's an excellent film, and there are obviously numerous other films from this period of Godzilla that still haven't had a release. So, yeah, obviously we haven't had Godzilla vs. Destroyer, or vs. King Ghidorah, or Mothra, or versus Space Godzilla, or Mechagodzilla 2. I would say Mothra and Destroyer are my two favourites from just these bunch here. But, I'd like all of them at some point or another. Much like they did with the original run of films, they gave it a big coffee book release, which has fantastic artwork and overall a really great release. But I really would like the rest of these Godzilla films to get released instead of dealing with really rather crummy transfers on streaming, or as you can see, VHS tapes is literally the only other way of physically watching this film. And then we have The Hill, one of my favourite films from Sidney Lumet, also starring Sean Connery. So the fact that we still don't have a really great Sean Connery film from his Bond years, because this is right in between Thunderball and You Only Live Twice, or thereabouts. It's still a fantastic film, and yeah, one that I really, really enjoy. And again, it's a shame that a well-known director that's done many a great film, like 12 Angry Men, Dog Day Afternoon, Network, Serpico, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, and such, and a highly well-known actor still haven't had one of their best films together released. Obviously, they have done another great film together that has had a release, and that is The Offence. But I'd still like to see The Hill also get released from them, because it is their first collaboration and one of their best. So, yeah. And then we have Robocop 2. So, yeah, I do believe this has had a Blu-ray release in the past, but it doesn't seem to be a new one. And given the fact that we've had Robocop, the first one, on 4K already, I think it's high time we had this sequel on 4K as well, which I personally enjoy just as much as the original. It's not as iconic. It's not as revolutionary in terms of its combination of violent action and satire and such. But I still think it's a really, really good film, and yeah, a really fun one as well, especially when it comes to that scene where they're showing off the attempts to replicate RoboCop with all these different versions, and they're either shooting themselves or shooting other people and such. And yeah, it's just really funny, and it's just an overall really rather great film. One of my favourites, and yeah, it's now 36 years old. It's high time we got a proper, limited edition release. Then we have Cape Fear, so the original from 1962, and given, it's directed by J. Lee Thompson, again, a well-known director, and stars two great actors in the form of Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum, plus you've also got a supporting role from Martin Balsam, Telly Savalas as well. It's, another film that I am deeply surprised hasn't had a release yet. It is available on, streaming, and it has had a Blu-ray release in the past, but as you can see, it's from 2016. It's not going to be the greatest. It definitely is well deserving of a restoration and a proper limited release, and hopefully it will at some point. It seems it's like all the other films pretty much before this one. It seems like these are, ripe for being released, and yet for whatever reason they just haven't. You would have thought these would have been released well in advance before now, and yet that is just not the case. Then we have The Getaway, so it's a Sam Peckinpah film, another well-known director that has had physical releases before, and you've also got the fact that it's got Steve McQueen and Lily McGraw in it, so, you've got well-known cast, you've got a well-known director, and yet, again, I've only got this on DVD. It's a very old one. It's one of those ones that it was cardboard with the plastic side that you clipped open with, and that's how old that DVD actually is, so, yeah, it's high time this actually got a proper physical release. Disc-wise on it, Amazon, yeah, you can see DVD £1.98, Blu-ray £18.67 from whenever that was, 2007 by the looks of things. So, yeah, high time that got a release, quite frankly. Much like Arachnophobia, a film that creeps me the hell out, but is still a very, very good film. And, yeah, Jeff Daniels, John Goodman, Julian Sands, great cast, and, yeah, really, really entertaining film. Feels like a proper throwback to the 1950s sci-fi horror films, and I love the poster as well, which is quite clearly ripping on Batman, but does it in a really rather funny way. And yeah, from Frank Marshall as well, who also did a couple of decent-ish films, more like with Congo and such, but it's definitely his best. I'm not sure if he did. Yeah, he's much more well known as, say, like a producer or something like that. Typical, it doesn't work when I want it to. Much more known as a producer, as you can see, given all the films he's produced. So, yeah, I'd love it if this film got released. And, yeah, second to last is A Shot in the Dark. But, to be honest, again, like with the Godzilla films, this is an overall wish in terms of wanting all of the Peter Sellers films in this series when he was alive. Not the one that was basically basically stitched together a bunch of outtakes from previous films and then stitched together with some new inserts. So yeah, I'd love it if we got the first, I think it was 5 with Sellers. So yeah, we had the original Pink Panther from 1963, this one from 1964, then 75, 76 and 78. So yeah, I'd love all 5 of those to get a proper box set, quite frankly. Blu-ray or 4K, not bothered, just get it out there, physically released in a nice box set with some physical extras if needed. And yeah, give us finally a great series of films from Peter Sellers and Blake Edwards. And finally, one that I am surprised hasn't been physically released is Dial M for Murder. Not only is it from Alfred Hitchcock, but you've also got Ray Milland, Grace Kelly, Robert Cummings in it. And yet, for some reason, it still hasn't had a proper physical release. I do have this as part of a box set, but they're all DVD. It's along with Strangers on the Train as well, which I also don't think has had a physical release. And yeah, it's just a real shame that it hasn't been given that proper physical release. Strangers on the Train hasn't had a release either. No DVD there. It says 3D, but again, not physically available. Amazon, also only physically available on DVD. So yeah, the fact that 2 of his classic films haven't had a physical release is shocking, quite frankly. I was surprised that this and Strangers on the Train weren't included in a Blu-ray box set I got for Alfred Hitchcock films a while back. It's a great box set. I really like the way that it physically looks, but the fact it wasn't including these 2 was a bit of a an oversight, quite frankly. So yeah, hopefully this and other Hitchcock films that still haven't been released get a release as well, because they are classics and they are well worth seeing and they are deserving of that physical release so more people can see them. So this is the list overall, as you can see. So yeah, I think all of these films are great, quite frankly. I've rated them all at least 4.5 or more. All favourites in some way or another, and yeah, it baffles me that some of these films just haven't been released. Yes, you can kind of see why something like Who'll Stop the Rain or I Love You, Philip Morris or Pressure Point might not have been released, but the fact that Day of the Dead, Once Upon a Time in America, all that jazz, James the Giant and the Giant Peach, Harold and Maude, the Godzilla films from that period, Robocop 2, Shot in the Dark, and Dialing for Murder haven't had a physical release yet. It's just a travesty, quite frankly, and hopefully that'll change with this year or at some point near in the future, because it is, quite frankly, a really sad, considering we have all of these other films that are coming out physically, and many of them are great, but there are still large parts of film history that have still been left to rot on older formats or just on streaming, and it's high time that these got physical release so more people can see them and more people can enjoy them when they want, rather than depending on when they are available on streaming. Because, like I said, some of these have been available in the past. That's how I've seen them, but they have since vanished from their libraries because of licensing and such. And it could be the case that licensing is holding a lot of these up, but much like with the John Woo and all those Hong Kong action films with Chow Yun-fat and such, have been delayed for decades, and only until last year have started to be physically released. But yeah, I think it's high time, licensing issues were just gotten over with and just pushed past and just got them out there as quickly as possible, because it's just it benefits no one holding films up like this and leaving them, to rot in the catalogue or vaults or whatever and not be seen by more people. So yeah, hopefully that changes. Obviously, I've been a little bit optimistic, especially since in some regards some of these films should have been released long ago, considering how highly regarded they are. But still, I live in hope that maybe it will get released at some point. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you agree with these or not, you can leave a comment. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what films you'd like to see physically released, be they in your country or just generally. Because like I said, some of these might have been released somewhere in the world at some point, but as far as, like I said, UK releases go, they are not readily available, and that is a shame. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.